This is the AWS Morning Brief Security Edition. AWS is fond of saying security is job zero. That means it's nobody in particular's job, which means it falls to the rest of us. Just the news you need to know, none of the fluff. This episode is sponsored in part by LaunchDarkly. Take a look at what it takes to get your code into production. I'm going to just guess that it's awful because it's always awful. No one loves their deployment process. What if launching new features didn't require you to do a full-on code and possibly infrastructure deploy? What if you could test on a small subset of users and then roll it back immediately if results aren't what you expect? LaunchDarkly does exactly this. To learn more, visit launchdarkly.com and tell them Corey sent you and watch for the wince. Welcome to the first security roundup of the year and last week in AWS security. This is relatively light just because it covers the last week of the year, where people didn't really work so much as they did get into fights on Twitter. Onward. So from the community, ever see a data breach announcement that raises so very many more questions than it answers? I swear this headline is from a week or so ago, not 1998. Tokyo police lose 2 floppy disks containing personal info on 38 public housing applicants. Yes, I said floppy disks. The Terrible Orange website, also known as Hacker News, reports that LastPass may have suffered a breach. At the time I'm recording this, the official LastPass blog has no, it's just people reusing passwords. Enough people that I trust have seen this behavior that I'd be astounded if that were true. If you can't trust your password manager, ditch them immediately. Security Boulevard has a roundup of the worst AWS data breaches of 2021, and it's the usual run-of-the-mill S3 bucket problems, but my personal favorite's the Twitch breach, because it's particularly embarrassing given that it is in fact an Amazon subsidiary. And of course, a pair of S3 bucket negligence awards. First one goes to DW Morgan, by leaking 100 gigabytes of client data, and they're a logistics company that serves giant enterprises, so these are companies with zero sense of humor, so I would not want to be in DW Morgan's position this week. And the other is a little funnier. It goes to Sega Europe after Sonic the Hedgehog forgot to perform due diligence on his AWS environment.
Are you building cloud applications with a distributed team? Check out Teleport, an open-source identity-aware access proxy for cloud resources. Teleport provides secure access to anything running somewhere behind NAT, SSH servers, Kubernetes clusters, internal web apps, and databases. Teleport gives engineers superpowers. Get access to everything via single sign-on with multi-factor. List and see all of your SSH servers, Kubernetes clusters, or databases available to you in one place, and get instant access to them using the tools you already have. Teleport ensures best security practices like role-based access, preventing data exfiltration, providing visibility, and ensuring compliance. And best of all, Teleport is open source and a pleasure to use. Download Teleport at goteleport.com. That's goteleport.com.
AWS had only a single thing that I found interesting. Identity Guide, Preventative Controls with AWS Identity SCPs. I've been waiting for a while for a good explainer on SCPs to come out, and this looks like it actually is the thing that I want. I've been playing around with SCPs a lot more over the past couple weeks. If you're unfamiliar, it's a way to override what the root user can do in an organization's member account. It's super handy to constrain people from doing things that are otherwise foolhardy. And lastly, an interesting tool came out from Google, which I should not have to explain what that is to you folks. They turn things off, like Reader. They also released a Log4j scanner. This one scans files on disk to detect the bad versions of Log4j, which is most of them, and can replace them with the good version, which is, of course, print statements. And that's what happened last week in AWS security. Hopefully next week will be, well, I don't want to say less contentful, but I do want to say it's at least not as exciting as the last month has been. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the AWS Morning Brief Security Edition. For the latest in AWS security that actually matters, please follow AWS Morning Brief on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or wherever the hell it is you find the dulcet tones of my voice, and be sure to sign up for the Last Week in AWS newsletter at lastweekinaws.com.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.